Alright, so we've been farming Gakuhoe all day. Made some good progress. I started out needing 45 joules and now I need 14. I'm not logging in yet because I'm on a fresh 300% boost. So I'm just kind of chilling until the group I'm running with is all good. Oh, you want me to log in? Alright, thanks, man. Oh yeah, it's been 2 minutes. New avatar? I've had it for a while. It's from Labyrinth Life Refrain. Yeah, it's a new stream. Channel 2 I go. There you are. Alright, let's I lost energy for that. I'm so sad. That was pretty good. We went like 3 hours without a crash. I see Chrome. Where's Luna? Where's Natkin? Where's Luna? There they are. Rock on. You rounding them all up? Oh jeez. I missed. My camera's all messed up. There we go. It's so dark in this dungeon. I can't see anything. Do I know when this event is ending? Sometime in November. Like, I want to say the first week in November, and if it doesn't happen, then the second week in November. Yeah. It's a pretty casual event too. Hey Lithia, how you doing? You know Lithia is the name of a weapon in Fire Emblem Heroes? Did you know that I'm sick and tired of not getting blue bags? Jewel! Rock on! $13 to go, guys. You still mad at me? Why are you mad at me? And I might stream Genshin tomorrow because I want to give my opinions on it. Oh, you mad at Phantom? I thought it was me. Please tell me I went in the right dungeon. I honestly wasn't paying attention. Yay. It does feel awesome to be able to finally ride the water dragon. Like, everything was water dragon. Water dragon spear, tidal wave, water dragon sublime. What is the water dragon? This is the water dragon. I love that. Oh! Oh, that Makami. Maybe. Oh, hey, Devil, how you doing? Oh, Jesus. Oh, fuck, where is he? Die. Jewel? What? Where's the jewels? Where's the drops, man? 2 bones. Ugh. Gross. I heard a blip. I hope I don't crash. What the fuck? This is the weirdest remix I've ever heard. I think we're getting confused. We're talking about black Makami as opposed to white Makami. White Makami, you have to fight fair and square. Black Makami, you do whatever you can because he's trying to kill you. We lost some... Oh yes, he said he was gonna go do another dungeon. Right. There you are. I like how Belle Dandy just kind of joined this party like it was a body party. Hey Reaper, how you doing? Where's Natkin? Oh, Natkin crashed. Jesus. Weird. I don't know why you keep DCing. I gotta stop using this tidal wave because nothing comes of it. Bone. I already have like 50 more bones than I need. Yeah. So that song was way different than I thought it'd be. Oh. I do like that one. Black Makami is weak to fire and wind, yes. Black Makami? He's Christmas Makami. He's Makami when he tried to eat Miyamoto's Yamato or her sword because it was evil, and he was consumed by all of the bloodlust the sword has absorbed over the years, and Makami became corrupted and turned all giant and black, and Miyamoto turned into a child. What about Mario? How will Miyamoto be able to continue? I don't know what happens to Mario, but that's what happened to Miyamoto. Mikami came, he said, I'm the devourer of evil. He bit apart her sword because it contains all the power and bloodlust and hatred of all the enemies she's ever killed, and she's been alive for thousands of years living off of this energy and all of her experiences in that sword. And he ate the sword because it was evil. He couldn't digest it, so it corrupted him because he couldn't handle it. And because Miyamoto lost it, she lost all her experience and turned into a child. So then it fell upon us to defeat him and retrieve the sword, and when we do, he turned back to normal and she turned back to normal, and the event ended. But we continued to keep them as they were so that she could have an exchange shop with goodies for us to have. Merry Christmas. This is the story of the Holy Night of Onigashima. Okay, it's like you have the kid from Shazam, and you took away his ability to Shazam, so he returned into a kid. Okay, good. Got it. Easy. And the person stole the Shazam power, but they couldn't control it, so they themselves became corrupted and turned into Black Adam. And we had to defeat them and return the power to Shazam, and Miyamoto turned back into Shazam. Except it's anime and it's with little lollies and sword fighters and people who have been dead for thousands of years. Okay. Fighting gold. That's what happened. That's the story. Or like He-Man, okay? They took away He-Man's sword and he turned just into Adam. And he was lame and pathetic and had his bitchy haircut. She took away He-Man's sword. He tried to take the power of the sword. He couldn't do it. It's the exact same story. Had enough of this. I don't know. What if that happened to Dart Miyamoto? Okay, so the same thing would happen. I got a jewel, guys. 2 jewels. Beautiful. Okay, the more stories I tell, the more jewels I get. Okay, so the lore about Dart Miyamoto. Okay, so we have 3 Miyamotos in the game. You have Lolly Musashi, which is Musashi as a child. You have regular Miyamoto, and you have Dart Miyamoto. To put it in perspective, Lolly Musashi is Miyamoto as a child in her youthful form. Miyamoto is Miyamoto as an adult, and Dart Miyamoto is Miyamoto 1,000 years into the future. And she has lost all of her humanity, and she became just an instrument of death and fully possessed by Yamato. So basically, like, Miyamoto is a corruption protagonist in Onigiri. If you ever played a hentai game, you start off with a cute little lolly girl, and then she becomes an independent young woman who's strong, and then unkept and left to her own devices over the course of 1,000 years, her humanity has left her and she became an instrument of death, and she forgot how to do all of her good moves and can only use dark attacks, and became a masochist, and only gets satisfaction through pain, whether it's her own or someone else's. Fight the power. I clicked on Osami. Fucking Jesus. Yeah, sometimes you can get a regular recipe and a Night Sky recipe. For the fortune weapon. Yuna's going strong. I guess they're farming it too. I'm not sure how I'm feeling. I might... Okay, so if Mikami ate Dart Miyamoto's sword, would she turn into a brain-dead lolly? That's a good question. So if she was Dark Miyamoto and she ate the sword, she might turn into an adult. Or no, she would still turn into Lolly Musashi. Because it's as if without Yamato, Musashi is trapped in her youthful state. And like her aging of her immortal aging is only tied to the sword. So I think she would also return back into Lolly Musashi. But if such a drastic change were to happen, I think she'd still be the same Lolly, but she might refrain from picking the sword back up because she would have known the future. She would have seen what she would have become. But at the same time, we fight Dark Musashi and Lolly Musashi are both present at the same time in this event. But Leviathan is not an evil, slaying, possessing belly thing. Natkin, man, I don't know what's wrong with the internet, dude. We're not doing the cutscene, we're not attacking. I don't know what's happening to you, man. Is that a jewel? Wait, I saw a blue drop. Did it go through the floor? Whatever drop I had went through the floor. Oh man. Oh. Yeah. You're right, she did forget who she was. So... Maybe. I think it has a lot to do with the power stored within the sword, because Mikami absorbs the power from the sword. He didn't break it. He was trying to absorb the evil within the sword, and the evil itself corrupted him. So let's say, for example, they broke Miyamoto's sword, the evil would escape and would have a place to go, like it would be able to go into something else. But because he absorbed it, it went into him, so it kind of left the sword temporarily. So theoretically, if Miyamoto's sword were to break, it would still be within the two shards of the sword. Like if it snapped in two, it would still be in them. But at the same time, if that was enough for the accumulated experience and progress and all that stuff in the sword to be released, then it could choose a new vessel. It could leave the confines of the sword and go into the person who broke the sword because it desires their strength. Like it could, like the malice and experience contained within the sword, it could, if it was sentient, look at, oh wow, you broke me, you're really, really strong, I want to be with you now. Sort of like if a similar scenario would be like the symbiote in Spider-Man, where like the symbiote goes to Peter Parker because he's like the strongest guy and he's got abilities and stuff. But if Peter rejects the symbiote and the symbiote sees someone stronger than him, like let's say for example Wolverine or Carnage or something like that, a greater entity, it might reject the original host and go for someone greater. So if it was like sentient and it wanted to just become a parasitic entity, giving its power to something else and going on this chain of corruption, then yeah, the energy would go somewhere else. But if it's just released into the wild, it would probably just go join some yokai or something, and we have to fight like something, I don't know. It really depends how they want to spin it. That's how the symbiote works. That's totally how the symbiote works. Maybe it doesn't go into Carnage. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but... Because, like, the symbiote's with Eddie Brock for a while because Spider-Man rejects it, but the symbiote learned, like, how to use Spider-Man powers and shit. So Venom has, like... He's very, like, inclined to be like Spider-Man. Like, the symbiote learns from what it has. I'm not a big, like, comic book guy, man. Like, I don't know everything. But I'm pretty sure that the symbiote would jump ship and just go from, like, host to host until it had the best host. I'm damn sure. Like, it's a lot like Majin Buu. Like, in Dragon Ball Z, Majin Buu absorbs, like, when he goes from, like, absorbing everybody, like, he just keeps absorbing. Like, he keeps going from the next guy to the next guy to the next guy. But he can have multiple, so it's kind of different. He's not limited to who he controls, or who he absorbs. He wouldn't, like, spit out Goten to pick up Gohan. But Baby does. Baby Vegeta does. Or Baby. I guess it's not Baby Vegeta, but we got a Jewel. Rock on. But Baby in Dragon Ball GT is like that. Fujin is weak to ice and lightning. 10 to go. Oh, your comment has a limit, Razzie. You're saying the symbiote doesn't choose? But in the movie... in the movie Spider-Man 3... when Peter rejected the symbiote got butthurt. And it wanted to go somewhere else. I'm basing it off of the canon movies. Everything else is just garbage. Yes. Well, if the symbiote was a Japanese spirit of Miyamoto Musashi, then yes. Well, I know Peter ripped it off. I know he did. He used the wind chimes or the metal beams because it was weak to sound. You know, I don't know if Chrome's come with us or he's just bodying off us. I have no idea. And at this point, I'm on a boost, so I don't know. He would have said something. The symbiote doesn't care. Ah, okay. Frig, I don't know what it was, but I was trying to think, wasn't there like something like a symbiote, but someone like coated their hand in it, and they were able to like punch through a wall like really effortlessly, and I couldn't think of what that was, but it was Kim Possible. Kim Possible had, like, her father created some agent or something that if you just dipped your hand in it or something, you became, like, infinity stronger. I can't believe Kim Possible did that, but it's very similar to that. Hey, Gray, how you doing? That's a good thing, Weeaboo. That's awesome. Yeah. I got a bone. Got a jewel, guys. Yay! Well, the symbiote would have a gender if it took someone. But there are some people that are pretty fucking parasitic. And that has no gender. Anyway, I think the symbiote is probably the coolest thing to come out of Marvel, to be honest. Always love Venom as a concept. It's so awesome. They had a symbiote type thing in Ben 10 as well. That's what I'm getting confused about. The symbiote in Ben 10 did that. It would go from like alien to alien trying to get the best one, the best one, the best one. And then it finally like got to Ben's Omnitrix, which had every single DNA in the universe. And it just absolutely loved him and it would not leave him. It was really, really sentient. That's what I'm getting confused with. There was a symbiote in that show. Who's my favorite Venom? My favorite Venom is Venom. I don't know. Venom is Venom. But where's Knack? There he is. Hold on, jump in. I don't know enough about like I don't know if there's different symbiotes. Is there a pink symbiote? Is there a black symbiote? Are you talking about Carnage? Are you talking about Rampage? I don't know their names. If Rampage is one of them, I get a cookie because I didn't know. I made it up. I don't know. I just like the original black Venom. Lucid blade tip or sleeve? I think sleeves are rarer, but they're about the same. One of them will take more than the other. Oh, Eddie Brock probably. Hackin', did you make it? How come you're always the last one through this door? You DC'd again? That makes no sense. Because we didn't even trigger the cutscene. That makes no sense. There's something wrong, man. Something wrong with you. So you're saying Venom absorbed enough energy from all the people to self-divide? Makes sense. Oh man, we're talking about Ben 10 now. Let's go. I love Ben 10. Ben 10's great. Fuck is this? 3 bones, Jesus. Oh yeah, Alien. Oh yeah, I used to watch, like, who is it? They do it's Ink Tank. They do a lot of videos like that. Yeah, Alien X. Yeah, yeah. Alien X is literally God. Yeah. Carnage, Scream, Lasher, Phage, Agony, and Riot. I thought there would have been one called Rampage. Anyway. Yes, the new Ben 10 they have right now, it's garbage. It's really dumb. Yeah, yeah. The friggin' what's that, rap battle? I don't know what that's called. Between Ben 10 and Green Lantern, yeah. Ben 10 had that because, like, not gonna lie, Ben 10 has built-in plot armor. He does. We're not aware of it, but it's subtle. But he has plot armor. Because the Omnitrix won't let him die. Like, if a circumstance were to occur where Ben 10 was put in a situation where he's about to die, the Omnitrix will change him to whatever alien would prevent such a thing from happening. Like, it literally has a failsafe like that. Like, if he's, like, thrown 50 leagues under the sea, it will change him into something that can breathe underwater. Or if he's launched into space, he'll be changed into something that can breathe in space, and you know, etc., etc. Like, if he's thrown into a pit of lava, if he has a species that could survive it, it would. Much like the mutant in Marvel, the mutant that its power is based on survivability, like adapting. What is that? Evolution. I don't know his name. Anyway, one of the X-Men does that. And there's like one comic in it where that guy who just keeps evolving and adapting to every situation, he gets into a fight with the Hulk, and like they're fighting toe to toe, and the more even they are, the angrier the Hulk got. So like on a scale, the Hulk was infinitely angry and infinitely getting stronger. So yeah, so the Hulk became infinitely stronger. So the guy who adapts to everything and evolves to everything, he would respond. No, Ben 10 is Man of Action. It's not DC nor Marvel. It's a YouTube thing that did a battle between them. It's not official. Anyway, so these two guys are fighting. So one guy's power is the Hulk. The angrier he gets, the Hulk gets infinitely stronger, and because they're evenly matched, like the Hulk gets angrier and angrier and angrier and angrier, like to infinity. So eventually it gets to a point where the guy that evolves, his ability, one jewel, right on, his ability gets to the point where it realizes that it cannot, it's an infinite losing battle, that the Hulk will infinitely be stronger than him every single time, even though he evolves to match the Hulk's strength. That the Hulk reached like a certain point, like I don't know if he was reaching like World Breaker Hulk level or something like that, but he reached a certain point to where the adapting, evolving guy, his power, it decided to teleport him across the Earth to the opposite side of the Hulk. That was the only way to survive, because matching him in strength and ability was not good enough. Like it got to the point where he evolved to get the fuck out of there. Like fight or flight went from fight for like an hour and just switched to flight. Like it was really cool, like how they did that. It was a really cool mechanic. Okay, I gotta drop something on the ground here. My parents are cooking wings. Yes. That's right. That's like, if you had the genes of Wolverine, why would you put them into a random guy when you could take someone who's actually has like skills and training and combat prowess and give him the powers? That's a huge dynamic when it comes to superheroes that are like born with their powers versus someone who's more deserving, which you'll see that in like My Hero. I'm supposed to drop a recipe for someone. Oh. Right on. I'm farming for my Frozen Fortune weapon. Can you kill Deadpool by suffocating him? Maybe. When it comes to immortality, I think Kishimoto, the author of Naruto, came up with the best explanation for a lot of immortalities. Is that, like, don't confuse Wolverine's immortality and, by extension, Deadpool's immortality with, like, eternal longevity. Like an unaging longevity, like they'll be there forever and beyond. Like, that's not their power is immortality, but their power is regeneration, self-healing, and reduced aging, and things like that. They just enhance to an incredibly high degree the ability of the body to regenerate. But that being the case, the body still requires nutrients. The body still requires the means to do so. It needs fat cells. It needs sugar. It needs, you know, it needs its energy. So, in a case like that, if you were to put Deadpool in the vacuum of space, he would die. Unless his cells were to evolve miraculously to the point where they could digest the space dust to produce energy. Or he could do it alone off of the energy of a star, then he would die. Like, unless he could do that, he would die. Like, for example, if we were to give Wolverine's regenerative abilities to Superman, he could not die in that situation. Because as long as a star, a red star, was around that he could absorb the energy of, his cells would have the energy to regenerate, no matter how much or how little he was destroyed, because of his base characteristics. But beyond that, were you normally... I got a jewel, let's go. But if you were legit to take a character that has super regeneration types of immortality and put them in a space where they can obtain no nutrients and no means to live, then they will die. Like, for example, if you took the concept of regeneration and instead of giving it to a human, gave it to a plant-like life form, like a dryad, or you know, just a plant life form, or any being that is capable of photosynthesis, in a way Superman is capable of photosynthesis, then you can absorb energy from the sun or some other means, then yeah, you'd be able to survive. But by extension, if you cut out the necessary ingredients of life, like what you need to sustain yourself, whether it be food, water, the light of the sun, air, oxygen, whatever. As long as you do not remove yourself from those things, you'll live forever, or until your time is literally done. But if you do remove someone from the means that they would have to sustain themselves, they would die, regardless of their regeneration. But that also assumes they're not, like, being preserved by ice like Captain America or anything like that. Well, then it depends what kind of undead you are. So now you're getting into a different territory. The kind of undead. Because... no, like, if you threw Dracula into the sun, he's fucking done. Thanos cursed Deadpool? Okay, so that's another thing. So that would qualify into a class of undead. In a way, like your curse, whether it's a curse or a wish of immortality, it still classifies. So, so let's say, for example, you have... okay, so let's say a concrete example. This would be very easy to discuss, is we go to Dragon Ball Z, okay? So let's say in Dragon Ball Z, you have a character... okay, we're gonna go to Super. You have a character like Zamasu, who has wished for immortality. He is immortal. There's nothing we can do about that. We can kill him as many times as they want. His body regenerates in that universe. It always restores itself to that point in time. Like, I think that's the best way to describe it. Like, his body exists in a fixed period of time. So when he wished for immortality without asking for eternal youth, because there's a difference in Dragon Ball Z. I got another jewel, let's fucking go. Yeah, they both love death, yeah. Okay, but like, okay, so in Dragon Ball Z you wish for immortality. It comes with eternal youth, I think. You do not die. If it's from Shenron, like, you do not age anymore. So, you would just be in that state for, like, eternity. And... because really, it makes sense. You would not age if you had immortality. It's really hard to consider, because your cells would not naturally die. It would go into an argument of... are your cells going to reproduce without dying, without replacing themselves, or are they only going, or your cells only going to reproduce when they are killed or lost, right? Because that's how bodies work. Like, every hour, half your cells die or whatever, and new ones take their place. Like, that's just the reality of it. So in a situation where your cells could not die, they could only reproduce, that would kind of fall into the situation where Deadpool, where his immortality is always fighting his cancer and they're killing each other at the same rate that he just exists. But if you were to remove the cancer from Deadpool, he would just become a tumor. Realistically, he himself would become a tumor. That would just be a mass of cells that just continue to grow and grow and grow and never die. Realistically, he would just become a supernova of cells, assuming he had energies to produce it. And then vice versa, if you remove the regenerative immortality of Deadpool, he would just become... he would die. He would just die. So in that kind of duality, that exists. So the real dilemma that comes with this line of thinking is that, let's say, as we grow older, you know, our cells die, we grow new cells. Similarly how we have baby teeth that fall out and we get our adult teeth. Although we're born with all of them, they're not grown, they don't come out of nowhere. But realistically, someone who is... it comes down to the concept of Do we treat every cell in your being as immortal, or do we consider you as a whole immortal? Like, for example, in Dragon Ball Super, you can remove in Dragon Ball you can wish as many times as you want, as many times as you collect them, and as the story progresses, the dragon gets upgraded to grant 2 wishes at a time, and the Namekian dragon can grant 3, like a genie. But I think it really comes down to a conversation between, let's say, like, okay, so you know how a starfish works, like how a starfish sort of has this pseudo-immortality? Like, starfishes have what's known as binary fission. And same thing as worms. Like, if you have a worm and you cut the worm in half, you now have 2 worms. They will both independently live together, even though they were once one worm. You've cut them in half and now it's 2 clones of a worm. It's still one worm, but now it's 2 worms, 2 individuals. And with a starfish, if a starfish lost one of its appendages, it would grow it again. It would regenerate it. And the same thing applies to a starfish. If you were to cut a starfish straight down the middle to where you cut its main nucleus, which we would refer to as the brain, if you were to cut its main nucleus in half, the 2 starfish, or the single starfish now cut perfectly in 2, has a chance for both halves to regrow what they lost. Therefore, 1 becoming 2, which is a reproduction, an asexual reproduction. That's how that works. That's one of those terms. So, I think that also relies on the nucleus being intact, because if with a starfish, if you cut off its arm, the arm does not regrow the head and like the other 90% of its body. Only the part that maintains the nucleus does. But if you cut it straight down the middle with its nucleus 50% intact on both sides, it will grow into 2 starfish, which is how they reproduce, by division. So it probably assumes that they themselves could split themselves in half to create 2 when the time comes. So with that logic in mind, if you had an immortal character and you cut off his arm, does the arm regrow the body, or does the body regrow the arm? Chances are, the body regrows the arm. A spoiler, because of Super, we're talking about Zamasu. Zamasu dies, or is defeated, by having his body is literally split in 2. He is divided in 2, like physically, symmetrically, he's split straight down the middle. And since they're not connected anymore, like let's say he was still connected at the crotch, the body would like slap themselves together and fill in the gap, because he's been cut before and that's what happens. But since they're both independently ripped apart, either all the cells will join together and become 1, magically, or each half would become a whole, an independent whole. The Hogyoku in Bleach? Yeah, the Hogyoku is like an enhanced... Oh, my boost ran out. Shit. Alright, time to go check with the lady there. I didn't even look at the rewards. Oh, whatever. We'll see what I get. It'll still be what it is. The Hogyoku is like an item that grants immortality, because Hogyoku is in a way symbiotic. Hogyoku is like, would be very close to symbiote, because it adapts to its wielder. Yeah. So, back to the main argument, like, if you had an immortal being and you cut off their leg, the being grows back the leg does not grow another being. But if you were to cut a person straight down the middle, just like how you would have a starfish, there's a chance that they could create two different bodies unless they joined together and made one. I'm trying to tell this guy it's the... He wanted to buy something off me and I just put the stall down. Really? That's weird. Oh, he bought it. Okay, good. So, if you cut off an immortal's head, is this... You said this is based off Mortal Kombat? The body regrows the head while the old head dies off. So that's really fucky, okay? Because the body does not contain the consciousness. Oh, the anime is a djinn? Okay, so that's the weird thing. Okay, so when you lose the head, if the head itself, which we're going to refer to as the nucleus, does not regenerate the body, you actually die. Your consciousness will die and be replaced with another. You will not be you. So long as that, like, that would happen. Like, let's say I was immortal and I was beheaded and my head did not grow a new body. I would be a severed head and my body would grow a new head. And my old body would have to grow a new body in order for me, that independent consciousness, to exist. So you would, in fact, die, but your reanimated clone would exist. They would be you, but your consciousness, your perspective into this universe would shut off, and your consciousness would either go to heaven or hell or whatever. And that other you would exist. It would be a form of asexual reproduction, and you would not be you anymore. You would think and feel and believe that you would be you, but your actual you, your perspective, your view on this world would die. And there would be another you that everyone else would not be able to distinguish, and neither would the new you, because you would still think you were you, but you would still have your consciousness die out. It's just like if you had... Like, that's how that would go. I guess I had never really heard about the Hydra head effect, but generally that's how that would work. Okay, so the thing about the Headless Horseman, though, that implies that it's like a Dullahan kind of being, and the body itself has a conscience. Because usually in media, a Dullahan character, a character that loses his head, but also retains its body, they both have a separate consciousness. Like, the consciousness is within the soul. Like, the soul is still within the body, and the consciousness is within the soul, and it's going to stick with the majority of the body. Because if the head is not the majority in the case, the soul will stay in the body and it will remain immortal. Because if you have immortality, that's immortality without regeneration. which you would see in Hidan and Naruto, because Hidan had his head cut off. His body was lifeless, not moving, because nothing's sending it commands, right? There's no telepathic commands from the head to the body to control it. But Hidan's his head was alive, talking, speaking, whatever. It was immortal, but really he shouldn't, because he didn't have any lungs. He didn't have, he didn't have any lungs to produce air. So that's like a... But you wouldn't really care because of fantasy and elements and stuff like that. But in that case, you would have a character where his head's beheaded. There's nothing controlling the body, so that is what it is. But yeah, technically, like, if you were to lose your head, and your consciousness is totally in your head, and if the head were to die and fade away, and a new head were to take its place, you would lose your consciousness in this world. And a new you would take place, and that new you would be you, but you would not have any bearing on it, because you'd be dead. You'd be watching it from heaven. Like, that's how that would play out. Just like, for example, with the starfish, if we took the starfish and we cut the starfish in half, and we have the two starfishes exist, and the clone, how do you decide which one is the clone and which one isn't? There really isn't a way to know. But they both have their consciousness, they both observe the universe, and now there's two of them. But they're not telepathically linked. They're not the same consciousness shared between two bodies. They're two independent consciousnesses that are a clone of one another. If you had them both occur to be in a state like that, where both the starfishes were to regenerate and fully become being individuals, fully regenerated, and you had them both working, and you took one of them, and you killed another one, you just straight up crushed it under a truck, it was dead, there's no chance of it, it's completely gone, that consciousness is erased from the world, while the consciousness of Starfish B still exists independently. That's generally how it would work in a situation where you have an immortal being where a clone were to be created. That's how it would play out. Yeah. Oh. Sure. Oh. Mortality's fun. I need 4? Ooh. Right on. I need 4. What time is it? Fuck. I need 4. That's good. That means I can do that whenever. This is our guys. I think what I'm gonna do is... But okay, so what if you're immortal and invincible? Okay, so... Alright, I'll answer that because we're on a good chat. So if you're immortal and invincible, we have to define the invincibility in which you have. So, is your invincibility that you take no damage, it's impossible for any object to pierce you, it's impossible for you to sustain damage? Or is it you cannot break? Like, do you still feel pain? Like, what kind of invincibility is this? You have to define the invincibility. Like, is the invincibility, does it fall under the category of you are a being in a fixed point of time where nothing can touch you and nothing can hit you, and if an arrow were to hit you, it wouldn't even hit you, it would just fall to the ground. Like, it would just, like, it would touch you, you would not move, you would feel no momentum, no impact from it, you're immune to the physics of the arrow, and it would just touch you and fall. You're unfazed by impact, so that would be an unfazed by impact. So that means something were to touch you, and it would just touch you. And it would not harm you, and it would just fall to the ground. It would lose all momentum and just fall. So all impact is absorbed or nullified. Okay, so yeah, all kinetic, all instances of energy that would go against you, whether it's physical, elemental, magical, would just come up to you and fizzle. They would just be nullified. If it's that kind of invincibility, and you had that kind of immortality. So if you have immortality, so you cannot die and you cannot be fucked with, that's going to be our phrasing. You're unfazed by impacts, you're unfazed by anything. You do not sustain pain. So if you were in a state like that, I think fantasy logically minded, there's always a way to beat them. But I never really dealt with someone that actually doesn't, like, I'm used to like someone throwing a truck at someone and then like nothing happens. Like they get hit by the truck but then they get back up. How do I think the base human race would achieve a form of immortality using today's world? Rough guess, it's fine. Well, in previous times, immortality immortality as defined by a race is undying, but in a racial perspective, it means that the person is not forgotten. Like generally, a person's mortal coil may fail. You might die from this world. You may leave. You will die. But if you are remembered, you will live. Like everyone lives twice. They live in the hearts and minds of those that they affected in this world, and they will live their physical life. Like as long as we keep remembering that, you know, Tesla had a lot to do with the invention of electricity. In our history books, in our culture, our global culture, every time we study where that came from, you will have an immortality of the name Tesla. He will become a living legend, a god of electricity. Just like the most recent god that Onigiri kind of brings this into light is Onigiri has god characters like in its gameplay. And one of the gods is Oppenheimer. In a game in Japan with Japanese gods and folklore, we have a god named Oppenheimer, which is a German name. And Oppenheimer was the scientist who created the atom bomb. He said I am become death. Like I have become death. Like Oppenheimer is referred to as a god of destruction, a Shinigami in modern times because of his creation as by the Japanese people. So in a cultural sense, he has attained immortality that he will never be forgotten, for what he did is too much to be forgotten. Yes, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Yeah. So in a cultural sense, a historical sense, he has become a living legend. He will not die out. Another example is great authors of our time. People who leave something behind that transcends mortality. Like, in a way, so long as we remember that which they have created, we will remember them in themselves. So if you have, for example, Tolkien, who created Lord of the Rings, so long as Lord of the Rings keeps being relevant, so long as his creations, like his depiction of elves and dwarves and hobbits, as long as those are continued and maintained in tradition, he will always be remembered. Even though he no longer occupies this world, he will still be remembered. So, as long as you have, like, there's different ways to go about immortality. Like, there's physical immortality of just fantasy, like you're Superman on drugs and you have Shenron's power. You do not die, you do not take pain, you exist, you're boring, but you have attained it. Then that's that. You become a god at that point. You have become a god. And then at that point, you will start reaching the levels of dimensions where, like, a Dimension 4 character can only interact with a Dimension 4 character. Like, a character that is immortal and impervious to everything through invincibility is all well and good so long as he's staying on his same plane of existence. So then you're fighting a a third dimensional character fighting a third dimensional character, that's all well and good. But let's say you go to the fourth dimension and they have telepathic attacks and they can do things that you weren't prepared to because you weren't consciously aware of it, or maybe they attack your conscious themselves, or something that we're not aware of, some fourth dimensional aspect of our beings, or maybe that's the soul in the fifth dimension. So like infinitely going through dimensions of power and ability and things we cannot comprehend, there will always be something that says, that's fucking pathetic, and just swats you using something you have no idea what the fuck they just did. So like in an interdimensional perspective, immortality and invulnerability only apply on those levels. Like for example, in Magic the Gathering, you have cards that are indestructible. They do not die. They cannot die. But they also, in that game, if you reduce their stats to 0, but they can still fade away. Like if you reduce their toughness to 0 with a card, or negative counters, they will just die. But if you use something that says this destroys you, it doesn't work. But if you reduce them to nothingness, then they turn into nothingness. Or, you're indestructible, I can't kill you. Well, you can use something that traps them in a pocket dimension and they're out of sight, out of mind, and then you're putting them in another dimension and they're out of your dimension. So technically, when you die, your soul goes to heaven, which is another dimension. So technically, that's a form of death. It is a release from one dimension to another, whether voluntary or involuntary. Voluntary is usually referred to as a transcendence, leaving something behind to attain something greater, or a death would be the unfortunate loss of what you already have and you transcend to the next dimension. So that would be all these different ways to look at such a conundrum, and the more complicated you get in the pursuit of, yes, I can find a way to kill you, the more and more the ways that we'll see this happen, because we're dealing with the consciousness as a mind, as a tool. You have infinite creativity finding a way to defeat something, and that's just one person talking. You know, a billion people having a billion different solutions, a billion different perspectives, they're going to find a way to do things. Like, one of the things I wanted to mention is, like, let's say you have a truly immortal character, and in Dragon Ball, they got their powers from Shenron, and they're invincible, and they're immortal. Well, if in Dragon Ball lore, if you went back in time without creating a different dimension, which is possible through Whis, if you were to go back in time to before the Dragon Balls were ever incepted or created, and you deleted them before that true point in time, then if you let time continue to play out beyond its butterfly effects and whatnot, when the time came for that person to wish for immortality, it would not happen, and therefore he would no longer be immortality. But he would have never known it. But in a grand scheme of things, in an omniscient narrator's perspective, that you knew the future and the past, then yes, he would not have it, and you would get rid of it. So like time travel has a perspective on that as well. So okay, that's enough of that. It's enough of that rant. But sorry you're bored. If I do. Okay, so what I wanted to say is I'm probably going to stop farming Gakuhoe now, because I'm missing 9 jewels, which is a good number. And then I have to do all this hard, and I don't want to do that right now. So my buddies wanted to play some Jackbox, and it's our buddy Joey's birthday yesterday, so we're kind of celebrating that at the same time. So I think I'm going to hang out with them for a while, and then whenever I'm done, I'll probably come back and farm more, or play Genshin, whatever the option is. Because I still have to farm the wasabis, which will take a lot of time. And there's another reward up Gakuhoe on Monday, which is 2 days from now, and I'm off, so I could do that for hard as well. So I think that's the game plan, because they've been planning this Jackbox thing for 2-3 weeks now, which I kind of forgot about. And I'm going to have supper pretty soon. We're having chicken wings, which I love, so we're going to go have some wings. And then after that, I'm going to play some Jackbox with my buddies. I don't know how long we're going to play it for, but we're going to play that. And then when I'm done, perhaps I'll do some Genshin streaming and talk about that and play that. But yeah, we'll see how things go. My throat is really, really dry. But once again, I think I saw we got a $2 donation. I heard about this. Eva pointed that out and I didn't see it. Yes. I just opened Fire Emblem thinking that was Facebook. I mean, YouTube. What song is that? Oh. Oh, boys, oh boys. I got another one? Oh. Arigato. Oh, thanks, Daniel. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, bud. Thanks, Daniel. Hey, Conway. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I think that what's gonna happen is this stream's gonna end here. I'm gonna make sure I drink so much that my throat stops being as dry as it is. I don't know if you guys can tell. And I'm gonna play Jackbox with the boys and celebrate Joey's birthday. And then after that, depending on when I'm done, I'll do some Genshin streaming. And I'll give my general thoughts on that, and we can talk about that. And then I'll probably finish Gakuhoe farming. Tomorrow is Sunday. I'm probably gonna do my my wasabi farming tomorrow, and then I'll be left with Gakuhoe on Monday for reward up. I think that's good. I wanted to get it done this weekend, but I slept way too in today. Anyway, I think that's the plan. That's what things are gonna go. So I think that'll be good and fun. It's a great stream, guys. I really enjoyed this. We started talking about like immortality and how it works, and you know, you guys seem to appreciate my input on it. Like, because a lot of things you don't consider, like in the stuff you learn in science, like binary fission. Like if you have two, because you got to consider, if you want to talk about the fantasy aspects of immortality, you have to look at the biological aspects of immortality. Like in my novel, I have characters that use different versions of immortality. Like there's a jellyfish that exists in our world that is biologically immortal, because when it ages to the point that it would normally die, the jellyfish is able to revert itself to a childlike state and continue to live. It can literally reset itself, which is an amazing technology I wish we could learn. But I have a character who has immortality based off of that in my novel. So I've studied a lot of this stuff, actually, like binary fission, immortality. Like lobsters do not die unless they're killed. That jellyfish does not die unless it's killed. Like there's a lot of biological immortality, and then there's like, as long as you do not fuck with me and you let me live, I will live immortality. And then there's fantasy immortality, where someone stabs you through the heart and you pull it out and stab them, ha ha ha. Like totally different facets of it. So it's really fun. I did appreciate that. It's a good topic. So I'm gonna go eat supper. I'm gonna go celebrate Joey's birthday, and then if there's time after that, I'll do some Genshin, because we did get some donations and some pleads for it, and my throat's so dry. So anyway, thanks for running with me, guys. The Gakuhoe runs are really good. And on Monday I'll get my last 4 jewels. I'm actually a lot further than I thought. I thought I'd be like 92 or something. So just getting 4 jewels will be fine. And then getting 200 scales will drive me up the wall. I might even have to charge to get that done. Alright, so that's that. I'll see you guys later.